You know the moment. It's late. Your phone lights up. Not a text, not a reply, just her name sitting at the top of your story views again. And you feel that weird mix: hope, confusion, annoyance, curiosity. Because part of you thinks, okay, if she's watching everything, she obviously still cares. But another part of you is thinking, then why is she leaving me undelivered? And now your mind starts sprinting. Did I come on too strong? Is she testing me? Does she want me to text again? Is she interested, or am I just being kept around? Why does this always get blurry right when I start to care? Here's the truth most guys never hear. She's not ignoring you because she forgot. She's not watching your stories because she's innocent either. She's doing both because stories let her feel connected to you without having to invest in you. You're not crazy, bro. And this isn't about you being weak. Most guys go through this exact thing, and nobody ever explains the psychology behind it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why she watches, why she stays silent, what that silence is really doing, and how to respond in a way that instantly puts you back in a grounded, magnetic position. Let's get into it. Most guys believe if a woman keeps watching their stories, it must mean interest. But the real truth is, story views and text replies are two completely different emotional actions. A story is safe. A story is distance. A story lets her peek into your world without stepping into your world. That matters. Because when a woman replies to a text, she feels the weight of interaction. Now there's momentum. Now there's expectation. Now she has to decide who she is in relation to you. But when she watches your stories, she gets the emotional benefit without the emotional risk. She can feel your vibe, check your energy, see if you're moving on, see who you're with, see whether you still feel available. And here's what most guys miss. Women often respond to how an interaction feels in their body before they explain it in their head. She senses pressure before she names it. She feels a wall go up before she consciously understands why. Her gut tells her, I like seeing him, but I don't want the pull of a conversation right now. That's the game. Not games in the childish sense, not manipulation, not some evil mastermind plan, but emotional positioning. Stories are low pressure. Texts are direct pressure. And if your energy in the messages feels heavier than your energy in your stories, she'll keep consuming one and avoiding the other. That's why trying harder usually backfires. Because the more you push for clarity, the more she feels the interaction tightening around her. And that's when attraction stops feeling effortless and starts feeling like emotional work. So, if you want to understand this, don't ask, why won't she text me back? Ask, what does watching me give her that replying to me doesn't? That question changes everything. 1. She wants access without obligation. Here's the part nobody talks about. Most guys assume attention equals investment. They think if she's watching consistently, she must be moving closer. But a lot of the time, she's doing the opposite. She's keeping access to you while avoiding any responsibility toward you. That distinction is everything. Because emotionally, a story lets her stay in your orbit without feeling trapped by your expectations. She gets to feel your presence. She gets to monitor your vibe. She gets to stay emotionally adjacent, but she doesn't have to give anything back. That feels safe to her. Wrong approach. You see her watch 3 stories in a row and you text, "Lol, you keep watching my stuff but never reply. What's up with that?" Right approach. You notice it, say nothing, and keep living like your energy doesn't depend on her response. Why? Because one move says, I need you to explain your behavior so I can feel okay. The other says, you can watch if you want, but access to me doesn't come with ownership over my emotional state. And when you do that, she feels your boundaries without you having to announce them. 2. Your texts feel heavier than your stories. And here's where it gets interesting. Most guys are relaxed in their stories and tense in their texts. In their stories, they look effortless. In their messages, they sound like they need something. She feels that shift instantly. A story says, this is my life. A needy text says, please tell me what I mean to you. That's why the same woman who happily watches your gym clip, your coffee run, your boys' night, or your random joke won't answer, hey, you good? Haven't heard from you. Not because she hates you, because one interaction feels light, the other feels loaded. And her inner voice starts whispering, if I reply, this is going to turn into a whole thing. That's what kills it. Not directness, not confidence, not genuine interest, but emotional weight she didn't ask to carry. Wrong approach. Why did you go cold on me? Right approach. You seem fun. Let's grab a drink Thursday if you're free. Feel the difference. One message asks her to manage your uncertainty. The other gives a calm invitation and leaves her free to step in or out. That's not a trick. That's just what a grounded man does. And when you do that, she feels space instead of pressure. 3. She's checking if you're still available. This is the one most guys completely miss. Most guys think story views mean she's leaning in. Sometimes she is, but sometimes she's just checking whether the door is still open. That's it. She wants to know if you're still there, still interested, still emotionally reachable, still slightly hooked. Because if she can still feel your availability, she keeps the comfort of potential without having to choose you. That's why she'll watch fast, watch often, watch everything, especially after she pulls away. She's not always asking, do I want him? Sometimes she's asking, can I still have him if I want him later? Bro, that's a brutal truth. But once you see it, you stop romanticizing passive attention. Wrong approach. You notice she's back watching, so you reopen the conversation with, hey stranger. Right approach. You let her actions become data, not destiny, and you only engage when there's real reciprocity. Because attention without investment is like window shopping. It looks like interest, but nobody's actually buying. And when you stop performing availability on demand, she feels the possibility of losing access. And that's when the dynamic gets real. 4. She likes your energy, but not the pressure around it. But here's what changes everything. Most guys think attraction is about liking them or not liking them. Too black and white. Too simple. The real truth is, she can genuinely like your energy and still avoid your communication if the emotional experience feels off. Read that again. She can enjoy you, be curious about you, feel pulled toward your presence, and still not want the version of you that shows up in the texts. Why? Because women respond hard to contrast. If your stories feel calm, fun, social, grounded, magnetic, but your messages feel over-focused, seeking, restless, or overly available, her nervous system feels the mismatch. And mismatch creates doubt. Not loud confidence, not fake confidence, not alpha male performance confidence, but quiet, grounded, I'm good with or without you confidence. That's what she trusts. Her mind may not say it that clearly, but her body reads it. Her gut says, something about his vibe changes when he wants something from me. Wrong approach. Your story is you laughing with friends, then your text is, I feel like you've been distant lately. Right approach. Your story and your messages carry the same calm tone, the same grounded pace, the same effortless presence. Because consistency is emotional safety. And when your energy matches across contexts, she feels like you're real, not performing closeness to get validation. 5. She's using stories to feel close without being vulnerable. Here's the deeper layer. Most guys think silence means detachment, but sometimes silence is protection. Sometimes she watches because it lets her feel connected without exposing herself. That matters more than you think. Replying to a text creates vulnerability. Now she has to reveal interest, reveal effort, reveal emotional openness. And if she's uncertain, guarded, talking to other people, or just not fully settled, she may choose the safer path. Observe. Don't engage. Stories become her emotional loophole. She can laugh at your post, notice your routine, study your mood, and quietly feel part of your world while keeping her own walls intact. That's why you get this weird mixed signal. Presence without participation, attention without intimacy. And her inner monologue can sound like, I want to see him. I just don't want to step all the way in. Wrong approach. You interpret her passive attention as a green light and double text harder. Right approach. You recognize that if she wants closeness, she has to risk something too. Because connection only becomes real when both people step forward. Not chasing, not freezing, not decoding every pixel of her behavior, but calmly requiring mutual effort. This isn't about hacks. This is about identity. And when you hold that standard, she feels that your time has weight. 6. You're rewarding the bare minimum. And here's where a lot of men quietly lose their power. Most guys overvalue breadcrumbs because they're starving for certainty. A story view feels like hope. A like feels like progress. A random reaction feels like proof. But man, if you keep rewarding passive behavior with active energy, you train the whole dynamic against yourself. You teach her she can give almost nothing and still get your focus. That's the trap. Because the moment she learns a story view is enough to pull another text, another emotional check-in, another attempt from you, your attention stops feeling rare. It stops feeling grounded. It starts feeling instantly available. And availability without standards is rarely magnetic. Wrong approach. She watches your story, so you send a meme, then a follow-up, then another opener 2 days later. Right approach. You stop treating digital crumbs like emotional currency, and reserve your effort for women who actually engage. That shift is powerful. Because now your behavior says, I'm open, but I'm not easy to keep on the shelf. That message lands deeper than anything you could type. And when you do that, she feels that your presence is valuable, not because you said it, but because your habits prove it. 7. Silence is the test of your center. This is the final piece. Most guys think the problem is her silence. Usually, it isn't. The real problem is what her silence activates in you. Neediness, overthinking, the urge to force clarity, the urge to get picked. That's the real battlefield. Because when she watches and doesn't reply, your nervous system wants to close the gap. You want relief. You want certainty. You want to do something. But silence between two people is like silence between musical notes. That's where the rhythm lives. If you panic and fill every gap, you kill the music. That's why this moment reveals your mindset more than your game. Not control, not pretending not to care, not cold detachment, but calm, rooted, self-respecting restraint. That's power. The grounded man doesn't interpret every view as destiny. He doesn't collapse into fantasy. He doesn't chase after mixed signals just because they feel emotionally addictive. He watches behavior. He trusts patterns. He moves where energy is mutual. Wrong approach. She watched my story. I need to say something before she loses interest. Right approach. If she wants access to me, she can meet me with real effort. And when you move like that, she feels something rare. A man whose center doesn't move every time her attention flickers. That's emotional caffeine for her brain. Because now she's the one wondering, why isn't he reacting like every other guy? So what's the real takeaway here? This was never just about Instagram. It was never just about texting. It was never just about figuring out her. It was about seeing the difference between passive attention and real investment. It was about learning that your energy matters more than your words. It was about becoming the kind of man who doesn't confuse visibility with value. Because once you internalize this, you stop chasing digital signals and start reading emotional reality. You stop trying to force connection. You stop handing your peace to every little notification. And that changes you. This isn't about memorizing a list. It's about becoming the kind of man who no longer needs mixed signals to feel alive. You get calmer, more grounded, more real, more magnetic. Here's the mic drop truth. If she only watches from a distance, let her stay at a distance. Real attraction shows up in effort. And if you want the next step, if you want to understand why women often pull closer the moment you stop emotionally chasing them, then watch the next video on screen right now. Because that's where this whole dynamic goes deeper, and it might completely change the way you show up with women from this point forward.